more complicated for us to be able to have that same experience. But what is important for us is to think about what we explored last week. And when we spoke about our natural state of being, which was that of an energy, a being that has the qualities of peace and love, looking and experiencing ourselves more than just the body. And when we kind of bring our true awareness of ourselves, when we identify with ourselves on this level, what happens is that then we explore, who do we belong to, where do we come from, who's the parent of I, this being, because it's definitely not related to a body. And so that's when we realize and we can come to a deeper agreement on an understanding within ourselves that there is a divine that actually is my parent, and that this parent also has the qualities of peace and love and happiness, which is my natural state of being. When we begin to explore our relationship with the divine in that way, that I'm actually made in the same image. So when we look at the DNA of a parent and a child, then we'll say we got the same color eyes. So I didn't have to go and design my eyes, but I got some kind of inheritance from my parents. And so it's lovely for us to then explore that just by the virtue of the fact that this divine being is the parent of I, the soul, and exploring the qualities of the divine, which are that of peace and love, then I know that that's actually what I have inside of me as well. Even though we don't have a physical manifestation, there's a deep like a instinctive feeling inside of us that when there's a deep sense of peace, it resonates with us. When there's a feeling of love and unity, it resonates with us. When there's a feeling of abundance and happiness, it resonates with us. So these are the things that are unspoken, but definitely an acknowledgement that is experienced by the inner being. And so these are very powerful indicators of this relationship that we have with the divine, and that in this relationship with the divine, I'm in fact the child of that divine. And so for each one of us to maybe spend time today and really just think about it deeply. Who is it that I really resonate with? Who is that energy, or what is that energy that I constantly lean back on? And when I can actually see that my rest point will always come to wanting that peace, wanting that love, wanting that happiness, it tells me that's what I'm made of. They say that this physical body of ours is made of 67% or 87% of water. And so the greatest need that the body would have would be that of water. And so whatever I'm actually made of is actually what I will be pulled to again and again. And for us as souls to be able to understand that heritage that we have and that we are connected with. Now, I want to just give you a few examples in terms of when we look at the relationship of a parent or a guardian, someone who actually is responsible for me. And when you think about a 3-year-old child or even a younger child whose father or mother may be a very important someone, but for the child, they don't have this feeling of this person who is a very important person in their qualifications or their profession. For the child, this is my parent. So I can just run and sit on the lap of that parent. I can do whatever I need to, and I feel a deep sense of right. So for us as well, when we give the divine, perhaps the title of God, I'm not sure if we kind of really created a distance and making God this supernatural being that is really not accessible to me, and someone who I need to go down on my knees with my hands together and bow down to be in front of. And most of the time, there is this kind of feeling of me kneeling down and, in a way, asking and begging to be in front of such a divine being. And I am not exactly sure what the history of all of that is, but definitely, if we look at the divine as someone who is the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, and if the perception is that we need to bow down, we need to be so, in a way, afraid, then something is really missing in our true understanding of the divine. So perhaps it's nice for us to just put aside some of the things that were told to us, and let's experiment with a new way of looking at it. That the understanding I have that the divine is a being of peace and love, and let me create an image of this peace and love in my mind, in my heart. And then, if I bring myself in the presence of the divine, would I be bowing down? Would I be kneeling? Would I be closing my eyes? What would be my expression if I brought myself in the presence of the divine that I create through the understanding that the divine is peace, the divine is love, the divine is a source of happiness? And this is really very important, because if I'm going to have some element of fear between me and the divine, then obviously, if something is in my life not 100%, I'm going to fear to go in front of that divine or be in that presence. So sometimes it's like people feel they need to be perfect to be in the presence of the divine. And on the other hand, I feel that we need to go to the divine for everything that we are running short of. It's almost like the divine is that go to person. And so the fear, all those kind of feelings that hold us back from creating a clear connection, somehow we need to address them. And we need to maybe look where that those feelings are coming from, and really find a way to let go of it, renounce it. And sometimes renouncing doesn't happen just because I say I let go. I need to maybe check and see. And I think on Monday, I think Sister Devendra, in a way, you kind of asked that question about sometimes how we can free ourselves from that feeling of shame or not feeling good enough. And I think this is actually very much entrenched in the beliefs, perhaps, that were passed on to us by whatever the system was. And so we need to be able to then look very clearly and see that I'm coming from a space of an understanding that I experience, rather than something that has just been told to me. And so, really, an invitation for us today to build a beautiful image of that divine, that source of peace, that source of love and happiness. And having gone through the different relationships, today let me hold that relationship of the divine as my parent, and maybe even specifically as the image, if you like, the grandfather, the one from whom I receive my inheritance. So, father, the grandfather, my mother, in whichever role of the guardian, that I can see the supreme and hold that powerful image of knowing that I'm actually a child. And being the child, I'm automatically the heir. And as an heir, I have a right to those qualities. So, in a sense, what happens to the soul is that I don't need to seek anymore. I'm basically turning inside and tapping into that energy. So it'll be lovely for us maybe just to have a little meditation. And in this meditation, allow me to let go of anything of the past and open myself to experience the divine in the form that truly is my eternal relationship. So I just take a moment and I breathe in, feeling the peace and security of knowing who I truly am. And from this powerful position of my true identity, I'm able to step beyond the awareness of this body and allow myself to feel my form of light, that beautiful, brilliant being, a star-like energy that is radiant. And in this form of pure radiance, I'm able to see my image in the image of that unlimited divine being, the being that is beyond any duality, any limitations of this physical world. There are no barriers, no paraphernalia that is between me and this divine. I allow myself to also lift my own attention and awareness from the body that encases I, the soul. And so, together with that, I also let go of any past perceptions, identities, old habits, and I become that pure being of light energy. I feel the form of light sparkling above like a star. I'm completely free, light. And in this lightness, I'm able to come to terms that I am from a very pure heritage. I am born of light. I live in light. I am light. And the natural nature of this eternal light is the beautiful vibrations that it creates. The vibration of this pure light is stillness, a deep sense of calm and relaxation. It is in this state that I experience myself to be peace. Peace that comes from the divine, who is the ocean of peace. And as I connect to that source, there's a gentle flow of energy to me from the source. And this powerful vibration of peace pulls me even higher and higher beyond all the things that creates separation and duality I feel myself in an ocean of peace. All around me, just peace. And with all the dualities out of the way, I feel completely connected, close, oneness, and belonging. I experience love, that deep sense of being one with the universe, one with the divine, and one with the whole of creation. Being in the space of oneness, there's such a deep sense of security and fullness, as if I'm overflowing an abundance of pure energy. It is from this powerful stage I experience the divine as the ocean of happiness. And this overflowing vibration of abundance allows me to vibrate this pure giving energy of being full and overflowing, a deep sense of all attainment, leaving the soul feeling completely happy. As I stay in the presence of the divine, I feel a deep sense of power, a strength that comes from knowing that whatever I'm experiencing is not temporary. I feel that strength within myself, that capacity to allow this energy to remain within me, for it to become constant and be stable. And as I stay in this pure energy, this vibration, I realize that everything I know of the divine, in fact, each of those qualities are like seeds within me. I too am a source of peace, love, happiness, power. And with this experience, I bring myself into this consciousness of being in the body, but knowing that I don't need to search anymore. That by just remaining focused on who I belong to, all that power, the qualities of peace and love exist within me. They are my natural qualities. Om Shanti. So today, powerful thing just to do for the self is to bring about that experience of belonging, of knowing who I belong to, and then feel that which comes to me naturally. And definitely, if something is in the way, touch it, ask the question, and dilute it. I like to think about it when you have a little knot and it's a sore point. When we press it, it pains for a little while, but the little pressure that you apply on it actually reduces that power, that pain. So This is a very important time in our lives when we know that external things have very limited lifespans, and when we can reunite with this eternal relationship with the divine, we can claim back that power and step into our full strength. So, Om Shanti, I don't know, Sister Devendra, there's something you'd like to add on or share?
Yes, not really adding on, but just a question if you can take a few minutes or a few seconds, whatever, to answer. Just looking back at my personal experience, the type of things that you shared today, I've heard for a long time, and it always touched my heart, and I always felt it was very beautiful. But actually, reflecting on my personal experience, very recently I came to actually realize that on a subtle level internally, I wasn't really in the full experience of being an heir. So theoretically, I understood clearly, but in terms of my personal experience, I could actually still detect subtle barriers internally that were separating me from that. I would say, you use the word that security, of knowing that I'm a rightful heir. And upon reflection for myself, the one thing that I realized for me that was a barrier was the amount of power that I had vested onto figures of authority. And by virtue of that, adopting the opinion of figures of authority of me as my own opinion of myself. And so then sometimes I would experience the opposite, which was that, I'm not worthy, or I don't have a right, or I'm imposing, that type of things. Very subtle, very, very subtle. So I think my question to you is, in your own personal experience, how were you able to sort of overcome a similar milestone, if you have? And how do you keep yourself in the state in which the benchmark or the measure of yourself and your worthiness, in a sense, is completely intact and just between you and God, and not allow it to be infiltrated by external opinions and things? Because for me, that's what I detected as the barrier. And actually, that's, to be very honest, that's my aim for the year, for 2022. It's to really see myself for who I am, and to see myself with the vision that God has of me, and to separate myself from the opinions that I've adopted, from external sources.
Well, it's funny that you asking that question, because it was really a discussion we were having yesterday. Because
Okay.
one of my sorest points, if I might put it that way, that we all as children, we look up to our elders, and then we look up to our people of authority and whatever. And I think there's a part of me that if my mother told me don't buy a jersey with a collar, I won't, because I feel it's a small thing to satisfy her. And I lived my life like that. So when I found myself with other people, and if they gave me any inkling that they were people of authority, or even if they were spiritual people who I felt they were of authority, I would surrender myself to their opinions, actually. And I think I suffered a lot because I did do that. And then what happened was that I realized that actually, no matter who the person is on your journey, they're only a messenger. they're really not God. And I had to kind of differentiate that even if I meet those people in a spiritual space, they're still not the God. They're just the messenger, because every human being is also on their journey. Even my own mother is still God's child. She can't be more than just God's child. I put on the onus that she's my mother and made her maybe another God in my life. But I felt what happened then is that when I sort of stopped putting so much pressure on other people to be that image, because maybe I wasn't doing the work of connecting to God the way I should. So I was using a person to get through to God.
Okay.
And then as I sort of minus the need to go through to God through a person, and started just working more on being soul conscious, and I think valuing the self was a very important part of this, because if I don't feel good enough, then I go through someone to the point of authority. But if I feel worthy enough, I'll knock at the door of the principal and go and say what's happening. I won't use an in-between person. And I felt in a subtle way, I was also using those people of authority to be my gateway to God. And so when I kind of decided, no, I also have a right, because I am a child and a child can go to its parent anytime, then that helped a lot. And I feel there's still times one can always check with, because no one is an island, we're not silos. So we always do kind of work with people and we get influence. But I feel in a way to let my own impression of people in authority, in a way, I sort of don't put pressure on them anymore to be my doorway to God. I know I have access, but I will learn from those who have more experience, because yes, they've walked long miles on this path and on any path in a way. So let me learn from them, but let me not make them little gods. So maybe check that, I think.
That makes sense. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, great. So shall we play our song now? Okay, there's another question. Comment that's coming through. It says, okay, that's great. Definitely, guys, don't let there be anything between you and God. We've made some people more powerful than others by saying that they God's children. But all of us, 7.5 billion souls, or even if we reach 8 billion, I still think each one of us has that equal right to be the heir of God. So I would like us to maybe play the song first so that it continues our meditation, and then hand over to our presenter. Thank you.
Here So thank you for joining us. And just a little reminder, we have a program tomorrow, Nurturing with Wisdom and Love. And on Saturday, Meditation Made Simple. So most welcome to join us. And the lovely analogy of keeping God as, whatever relationship we need, and being open to talk to God about anything and whatever is on your mind or in your heart. So have a really beautiful day and take care, everyone. Om Shanti.
you.